Overclockable processor, overclockable graphics card, 64 gigs of RAM, 1 terabyte of PCIe solid state drive, and liquid cooling. Generally those aren't things you think of when you think about a laptop, but today we've got the Asus GX700, the world's first overclocked liquid cooled laptop. Let's check it out. What's up everyone? Today for an XOTIC PC review, we have the Asus GX700VO-VS74K. This is going to be the world's first liquid cooled laptop, and this right here next to it is not a printer, this is the liquid cooling dock that it comes with. Also along with this, you do get a suitcase for it just because it comes with so much. If you want to be portable with it, it actually comes with a full-size suitcase. If you want to check that out, check out our unboxing video where we actually go through that pretty well. And then it also comes with a mouse too, that'll be included in the box. But for this, we're going to go ahead just like normal and take a look at the specs of it, the benchmarks, the tests, how the temperatures come out on it, and just kind of an overall view of it as well. So let's go ahead and check it out. So on the Asus GX700, this model right here is a 17.3 inch screen. It's full high definition, so it's 1920 by 1080. It's an IPS screen. It's matte, it's got a matte finish to it, and it has G-Sync on it. So we'll go ahead and we'll just take a look at some video of how the viewing angles are on it, but for the most part you can see that it's pretty good viewing angles. You don't get a lot of distortion from the sides on it. For the processor, it has an Intel i7-6820HK processor, and that's 2.7 to 3.6 gigahertz just out the box. But this is actually one of the very few processors that you can overclock on a laptop. So that's something you can go into the BIOS and set the options up to go faster on that, and we'll get a little bit more into that as well too. For the graphics card, you have an NVIDIA GTX 980 desktop graphics card with 8 gigabytes of video memory, and this is not the 980M, the mobile version of it, but this is the more powerful 980 desktop version. For the for some of the other hardware, it has two 512 gigabyte NVMe PCIe M.2 solid states. So basically, just all the terminology aside, those are some of the fastest solid state drives that are out there. So if you need quick read and write speeds, those are ones that are going to really help out there. It has 64 gigabytes of RAM, and that's DDR4 running at 2133 megahertz. Also on it, it's going to have a built-in Gigabit Ethernet LAN and an 802.11 AC wireless card. So again, some of the newest technology on that. This system here is pretty much made for overclocking and just getting the most that you can get out of a laptop, just pushing everything to the limits on it. So with overclocked processor and overclocked graphics card, coming out of the box with 64 gigs of RAM and a terabyte of NVMe solid state drive, it's really going to be one of the higher end systems that you can find out there right there. For the dimensions on the GX700, it's going to be 16.89 inches wide, it's going to be 12.7 inches deep, and then when the lid is actually closed, it's going to be 1.52 inches high. The system itself, not including the dock or anything else that comes with it, is just going to be under 8 pounds at 7.94, which is actually surprising. When I heard about a liquid cooled laptop, I figured it was going to be much thicker, it was going to be much heavier, but the laptop itself, without carrying around the dock, is much more portable than I expected. Just like a lot of the G752 series that have come out before this, Asus has gone with the aluminum case on it with the brushed aluminum texture. On the back of it, it's got the Republic of Gamers logo, and that does light up, and it has a couple little accent lights on it as well too, just for a nice aesthetic. But overall, the case is really sturdy. It's got a good build quality to it, no issues there for the most part. On the back of it, you're going to find the vents just for when the system is running off the typical air cooling when you're on the go, or even when it's just on the dock, it'll still blow air out. But you're going to find a couple of vents on the back of it, similar to the other G series models from Asus there. On the bottom of the system, it is going to be similar to the G752 again, because it does have like the little glass window there that allows you to see a little bit into the system. But once you open it up, it's going to be similar on the layout on the inside. The biggest difference is there's going to be the couple of pins, little holes there, again for stability when it's on the dock, and then there's a couple of latches, little spots for the latch to come in and connect into when it's on the dock as well too. So a little bit different from the G752, but again, also fairly similar at the same time. When it's sitting on the dock, it's incredibly stable. It doesn't wiggle around or anything like that. Everything secures down completely well. Everything locks into place here, and there's really no issues with that at all. taking a look at the keyboard on the computer and what we call the C surface when we're doing any kind of customizations. Again, this is going to be identical to a G752, so you've got a good keyboard that's got, you know, really solid amount of spacing between the keys. Just has a good travel distance when you're typing on it. The keys feel good. There's no kind of mushy, you know, click to them. It's, you know, just a good response to it. So overall, Asus, they generally have pretty good keyboards, and this one keeps up with that as well too. There are 5 different dedicated macro keys up top, and there's also a button up there dedicated for running XSplit Gamecaster. So, you know, something that if you want to set those, you can go ahead and go into the Asus ROG Center, and then you can set up some of those different macro keys. The trackpad itself is going to be, you know, similar to a G752. It's the pretty good size to it, and then it does have a dedicated left and right click to it. They're actual independent buttons instead of being just a part of the trackpad all in one piece like a lot of slim models will do. For the dock itself, when you want to use it, all you have to do is just push down on the little lever up here, and you can see that everything kind of shifts out here on the front, and then you can connect the computer into it, and then when you release it, then then everything securely attaches in. When you want to release the computer from here, then you just got this button right here. You just push this down, and then that will allow you to release the computer from it. So in general, it's pretty easy to connect. You don't have to worry about running any kind of tubes or filling the liquid. Everything that you need for the liquid cooling is self-enclosed in here. It's really easy just to add it on and off. We've been turning off the computer. I don't know if you can hot swap it, but overall, it's just pretty easy just to connect everything up here. As always, we went ahead and we ran the benchmarks on the GX700, and just want to go over some of the results here. Generally, again, the higher the number that you have on like the graphics card score or on the processor score, then it's just going to be faster for the computer. So for gaming, you'll have more frame rates. If you're doing any kind of professional work, you'll be able to render quickly, things along those lines. So for the scores here, on Cinebench, we went ahead and we ran it, and on the graphics card test, we got 121.07 frames per second. And then on the CPU test, we got 855 points on there. And then right below there on each score, it does have a list of how well it compares to other systems that have also run the test. For Firestrike, this tests the graphics card, but we got a combined score of 11,635, and that came in about 88% better than all other computers that have run the test before, whether it's a laptop or desktop. On 3D Mark Skydiver, we got a score of 28,537, and that one was 91% better than what you'd find on other computers that have run the test. That's going to be the part of the 980, the desktop graphics card, that's really pushing those to have higher scores than what you'd find on like a 980M. For the Heaven benchmark, we went ahead and ran that, and we got a score of 1,658. The average frames per second was 65.8 frames per second. The minimum was 8.8, and 77 was the max. And like always, we went ahead and ran Crystal Disk Mark on there as well too. And this is just something that's going to show how quickly the drives can do information reading and writing on it. So the higher the numbers, then the quicker it'll be able to copy things over, to write programs and load things up. On this model, it came in insanely fast. This is one of the quickest laptops I think I've seen so far, just straight out the box. But the sequential test was 3,211 megabytes per second, and for reading, and then for writing, it was 2,620. And you can see the rest of the scores there, just some various benchmarks for that. But the two 512 NVMe drives that are in there in a RAID 0 configuration really did well on that test as well. So here's a little bit different than what we would normally do. We went ahead and we ran the test, and we did it on the dock, and then we ran it off the dock. For the most part, the test results were about the same, usually coming in fairly similar to each other. We're not overclocking this straight out of the box, but just the big thing that we wanted to take a look at was how the temperatures are going to change here. For the graphics card itself, when we ran our benchmarks, when it was on the dock, we got 65 degrees Celsius, but when it was off the dock, it was 76 degrees Celsius. So overall, 11 degree temperature there is actually a pretty good amount. Normally Asus has really good cooling on the system when it's off the dock. Anyways, I mean, that's fairly similar to what you'd find on the G752 or a lot of their other ROG models. But the dock itself really hammered the temperatures home and really brought them down. Speaking of the overclocking, we'll go ahead and we'll take some video of the BIOS here, and then that way you can take a look at that and just see the various options, and that's where you would find the options to overclock the processor as well. So if you want to go ahead, pause it and just take a look at that, but that'll just go by here really quickly. As you'd expect with an Asus model, overall the fans on this were really pretty quiet. When it was just running as a standalone laptop without the cooling dock, you know, under a heavy workload, it was barely noticeable to hear the fans. And even it had solid cooling temperatures by itself. When you put it on the dock, you could hear a little bit of noise coming from the dock itself, even under a heavy workload. It wasn't too bad. If you put the fans up to 100% maximum speed, since they are, you know, bigger fans than what you'd find on a typical laptop, it is going to get noticeably louder. But just running it on a manual configuration, whenever we were doing the benchmarks, overall it was still pretty good, and it wasn't too loud. If you have any questions on the GX700, any of the services that we offer, any upgrade options, or anything along those lines, feel free to reach out to us at 877-289-9684. You can always email us at sales@exoticpc.com. You can hop onto our website and check us out and talk with us through the live chat there. If you have any questions, you know, feel free to ask us on the forums or comment here on the videos. And if you like the videos and you want to keep up to date with the newest technology and newest reviews, feel free to subscribe. For Exotic PC, my name is Patrick. Thank you and have a great day.